The wind in Nebraska doesn't just blow. It howls. It bites. It finds every crack and seems to remind you that you're alive. For a young boy named Elias Thorne, that cold wasn't just outside. It lived with him in the drafty, two-bedroom trailer on the forgotten edge of Kearney. His mother, Sarah, was a woman of flickering lights. On her good days, the light was brilliant. She was the mom who made the best cinnamon toast and hummed old folk songs that made the cramped trailer feel like a home. But the bad days were dark. The days when the blue pills or the white powder took hold, she became a ghost in their own home. Elias learned to navigate the house like a minesweeper, tiptoeing around broken glass and the heavy, unnerving silence of her long naps. He became an expert in being invisible, a shadow in his own life. School wasn't an escape. It was just a different kind of torture. He was the quiet boy with the mismatched socks, the one who always smelled faintly of woodsmoke and neglect. He failed algebra twice, not because he couldn't understand the numbers, but because it's nearly impossible to solve for X when your stomach is empty, when you haven't had a real meal since Tuesday. His world was a constant state of survival, a fight not for grades or popularity, but for the next quiet moment, the next safe space. The shift, the one tiny crack of light in his world, didn't happen in a classroom or on a football field. It happened in the dusty, silent stacks of his high school library. He was hiding, as he often did, from a group of bullies who found his quiet poverty amusing. But that day, someone found him first. A retired teacher, Mr. Miller, who volunteered at the library, saw the boy huddled between shelves. Instead of scolding him or sending him back to class, Mr. Miller simply handed him a book. It wasn't fiction or poetry. It was a thick, technical manual on agricultural technology. "The soil doesn't care who your mother is, Elias," the old teacher said, his voice gentle but firm. "It only cares if you know how to feed it." That single sentence planted a seed in Elias's mind. For the first time, he saw a world that wasn't defined by his past, but by what he could learn, what he could build. That seed grew into a relentless obsession. The next 6 years of his life were a blur of caffeine, desperation, and sheer force of will. He worked 3 jobs, sometimes more. He was hauling hay at dawn, his muscles aching under the rising sun. He was cleaning greasy diner floors late at night, the smell of bleach clinging to his clothes. He was coding for a tiny local startup in the hours in between, his eyes burning from staring at the screen. Every dollar, every ounce of energy was funneled into one goal: the University of Nebraska. He wasn't just a student. He was a man on a mission. While others were at parties, he was in the lab. While they slept, he studied. The day he walked across that graduation stage to receive his Bachelor's degree in agricultural engineering was a day of quiet, solitary triumph. He scanned the cheering crowd, a sea of proud families. But the one face he looked for wasn't there. His mother, Sarah, was in a state-mandated detox center. He stood there, holding his diploma, utterly alone. But for the first time in his life, he wasn't hunched over or hiding. He stood tall. Elias Thorne didn't want a job. He didn't want a steady paycheck. He wanted control. He had spent his entire life being controlled by circumstance, by poverty, by his mother's addiction. Now, it was his turn. He looked at the American Midwest, the breadbasket of the world, and saw its potential. But he also saw its weakness. The systems were ancient, inefficient, and vulnerable. He locked himself away, fueled by the same desperate energy that got him through college. He developed a proprietary drone seeding algorithm, a brilliant piece of code that could analyze soil composition, weather patterns, and moisture levels to predict crop yields with an astonishing 99% accuracy. He named his new company Celum, the Latin word for sky. He was looking up, and he was ready to own it. At first, Celum was just a data provider, selling its predictions to large agricultural corporations. But Elias's ambition was far greater. Within a decade, Celum wasn't just providing data, it was building the infrastructure. Elias started buying up the debt of small, struggling family farms. But he didn't foreclose on them. He didn't evict the families whose ancestors had worked that land for generations. Instead, he made them an offer they couldn't refuse. He brought them into his growing empire. He called it the Empire of the Plains. He automated their logistics, replacing aging equipment with his state-of-the-art drones and machinery. He built his own private rail lines to transport goods, bypassing the congested public systems. He created a network so efficient, so dominant, that his influence became undeniable. Before long, governors from Ohio to the Dakotas would dare sign a new agricultural bill without first seeking his suggestion. Elias Thorne wasn't just a CEO anymore. He was a king. Today, Elias Thorne lives in a fortress of glass and steel that overlooks the Platte River, a modern castle in the heart of the land he now commands. He is the unofficial king of the breadbasket. He controls the supply chains, the logistics, the data. He controls the calories that feed the nation. His word isn't just influential. In the Midwest, it's practically law. He has everything he ever fought for: power, control, and a fortune that could last 1,000 lifetimes. But the most powerful, most emotional moment of his life didn't happen in a boardroom or during a multi-billion-dollar deal. It happened last year. He returned to Kearney, to the place where it all began. He bought the old, dilapidated trailer park where he grew up, the patch of dirt and rusty metal that had been his first prison. But he didn't tear it down. He didn't erase the memory. On that very land, he built a world-class rehabilitation and education center, a place of healing and second chances, equipped with the best doctors, therapists, and teachers. A place designed to give people the help his own mother never had. One afternoon, he walked through the center's beautiful, serene garden. And there, sitting on a bench, was an older woman, her hair now gray, her face lined with the memory of a hard life, but her eyes were clear. She was clean. She was present. It was his mother, Sarah. He sat down next to her, this man who could move markets with a single phone call, the most powerful man in the Midwest. And for the first time in 30 long years, his mother leaned her head on his shoulder. There were no grand speeches, no accusations, no talk of the past. There was only the quiet of the garden and the weight of her head on his shoulder. He put his arm around her and whispered, "I'm here, Mom. I fixed it. Thanks for watching our story today. If it resonated with you, please hit that like button. Subscribe to our channel for more content like this."